I think you are being watched. Okay, so let's get started. So I kind of put the premise out that we wanted to come up with, how do you craft really good subject lines and get responses from it? But I also wanted to kind of dive into my own situation and get some expert.
Where's Sandra?
Yeah, she couldn't make it, unfortunately. But we'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn too, but I wanted to talk to you about kind of my market strategy, and then let's take it from there and just get input and feedback on how do you craft good subject lines. I know there's some real experts on the call that know how to do that, and not just for me, but I wanted just to kind of use me as a guinea pig, because if there's anybody in here that likes to procrastinate when it comes to marketing, it's me, as everybody knows. So one of my challenges, of course, is make this thing fun and interesting. So with that said, I'm going to just share a screen here, just kind of go over this very quickly. And same thing with anybody else has a marketing challenge. Let's talk about marketing challenges or insights too. Obviously, I want to hear a lot about your insights. So I am going to share, and let me see if I can find the right screen. Ah, look at that. All right, everybody see the INPD thing?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so outreach. That's kind of what I'm looking at doing, putting a little bit more emphasis on this. And my goal at the end of the fall is to have 2 additional clients. And a client engagement for me is usually minimum 4 months, but it can be an ongoing year thing. It's kind of a hybrid business, in the sense that I don't position myself as the coach, but at the end of the day, really what I am is a sounding board and a thought partner and a strategy partner. So that's really what it's about. And clearly I come from the frame that it's all about building these relationships. That's why I run the Klatch Club, and that's why I try to build that network, because most of my clients, like people in my line of work, do come through referrals. Not all of them, but I really have little success in terms of finding people cold call. But having said that, it does happen, but I think that's kind of lightning strikes. I don't think that's something that's real practical. So relationships, and that's what I'm looking for. I have not hit my referral network as good as I can, so I'm going to start doing that. And that's one of the things I want to talk to you guys about, the email approaches, because there really are at least 2 or 3 different type of people in my network. One, I would say people that I know really well and are still active. And some of those folks are like you guys, solopreneurs, small businesses that call on similar clients and stuff. And there are a handful of business people on my network that I need to be a little bit more focused on. But then, there's a lot of people on that network who are just on my network. I've been very stingy about adding people to my LinkedIn network. I just don't answer it. If somebody sends me a request for LinkedIn, and all they say to me, I want to add you to my network, I usually won't even respond to them. Just throw them in the trash. In this day and age, and this is kind of, I guess, the punchline I want to work towards. In this day and age, if you're not spending the time to at least show some interest in who you're trying to connect with, I think you're really blowing it. Yeah, I think that's more than a personal opinion. I think that's kind of the ongoing etiquette. Again, it's too bad Sandra wasn't here. I'd love to hear her take on that. So anyway, my goal is to continue to build that professional network and add professionals that could be good referral partners. And my actual prospect list, I'm looking at 100 clients, and that's kind of I should say 100 prospects who are ideal clients. And that's going to be a revolving list. So as I get people on this list and I qualify them or disqualify them, then I'll just keep on adding to that. 100 is probably a reasonable amount to manage. And my theory, and I'd love to get some feedback on here, but to some extent, less is more, because it takes time. It just takes a lot of time and effort to build that trust. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But warm calls and outreach is kind of the game. I just don't see any cold calling. And some guy keeps on calling me. He's got a a web design business or something. I don't know what it is, but he's cold calling. I said, God bless you. I hope that's working for you. I would never do it. But that's me. So ideal clients for me, as I think most of you know, business owners, CEOs, and business leaders who want to grow their business and have challenges. And the number one challenge is getting the results they want from their growth strategy and execution efforts. They need bolder new ideas, and they need to get their team on the same page. And I only want to work with people who are humble and mature enough to seek help and wisdom of others. I just don't want to spend time. Not that I would even get a job, but I don't want to spend time with arrogant bastards. It's just not worth it to me. Sorry, but.
Well, still, Kevin, I'm not sure what your question is or what you're looking for from us.
Well, that'll come in a
rundown of what your business is.
No,
what are we doing?
Well, what I'm going to ask you guys is coming up with some communication strategy and a outreach strategy, the communication strategy, and we'll get to that shortly. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for general input and feedback and how to target these people. And I think, as you'll see here in a second, the challenge is that there's different buckets of people that I need to communicate with. And so how do I effectively communicate with them? And the outcome on each one of those communications are different. Obviously, when I'm communicating with my referral network, I want to communicate in the sense, hey, I'm out here, just wanted to touch bases, and let's see if we can help each other cultivate a business. Kind of what we're doing here today.
Can we ask clarifying questions, or you want
to? Yeah. You can ask as we go. Or
so my question is: you have 100 ideal clients on your warm list. Do you know these people already?
No. Yes and no. So I have not created that list yet. I could probably drum it up, but I'll talk about the way I'm going to create that list. It's going to be, I'm going to go back to the Sales Navigator for about a month and just go ahead and do Boolean algorithms on my target companies. And this is kind of my target sectors. And then that's the question then, Palo, is how do I get to those folks? And obviously one way is, if I can look on LinkedIn, I could see that, for example, if you actually know somebody on your LinkedIn list, then you can connect. That's probably my number one tactic. But otherwise, it's going to have to be some other form. And actually, let's just jump to that. So did that answer that question?
Well, my feeling is, well, yes and no. So that doesn't, if you know these people, my feeling is pick up the phone and just call them.
Right.
If you don't know these people, so they're two different lists. It's not yes and no. That's yes, and then there's another list where you don't, because it's two different ways you approach them. My feeling is, if you know them, pick up the phone and call them.
That makes sense.
If you're going to send me an email, anybody on this list here sends me an email, I'm going to pay attention to it. I don't even care what the subject block could be empty. If I get an email from Steve Hers or Riley or Moss or you, all I need to do is see your name, I'm going to open it. So that's why I'm saying that's the power of, do you know them or not?
Exactly. So let's just assume on the prospect list, I do not know them. They're cold. In fact, I think I talked about this. So again, the connect, email, phone, and LinkedIn. Yeah, pick up, as Jim Horan used to say, pick up the damn phone. I think makes a lot of sense when you know people. When you don't know people, then it's a cold call. It makes no sense to me, and I just don't have the stomach to do that. I know Palo does. Palo's much more motivated.
Cut to the chase. Yeah, call them.
Yeah. That's a mindset thing, Palo. So I am who I am. So I can't change that. At least I don't want to change that. Let's put it that way. So that 100 prospect list, really, for all practical purposes, I don't know them. But the idea is to have friendly conversations. Obviously, referral would be the best way in, but otherwise, create friendly conversations. So these are kind of the hows. So the other key thing too is not overthink this. I have a tendency to overthink things. That's kind of my background, and it can really get you into trouble because you end up getting into the loop of procrastination. I think I might be one of the world authorities on procrastination. Maybe not, but I know it pretty well. So anyway, it does come down to the degree of relationship. I know you, like you, to I don't know you from Adam. So that's the spectrum. And so as you know, I think as Palo was kind of suggesting, depending on where they fall on that spectrum, my approach is going to be different. If I know somebody really well, picking up the damn phone is probably the smartest thing to do. It may or may not be, and I want to challenge that too, because people don't answer phones either. I mean, it's a crazy place now in time, because just so much information, so much, you know, noise out there, because you know, a lot of people just won't return the phone calls. And I do, you know, have enough maturity now not to take this stuff personally anymore. Yes, Palo.
That's what I'm saying. If they know you, I guess I should be specific. If people know you, that means to me, what you're saying yes to is they will respond to my email, they will respond to my telephone call. That's what I mean by know you.
Yeah.
I mean, anything other than, if they won't respond to your email and your telephone call, then you really don't know them and they don't really know you. So that's the qualifier.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. That's probably, though, maybe 80 to 90% of the population, because I have some people that I know really well that won't respond until they need something. So, you know, people play games. My feelings, just get over it and not take it personal. But generally speaking, I think you're right, Palo. But in all situations, I can't say it's 100% true. Okay, so anyway, prospecting versus referral networking. You know, obviously the tactics I want to use is one-on-one communication tactics. In other words, I don't want to send out a big mailer. I know this is in Palo's world, but I know mailers theoretically can work, but they're expensive, and you still have that problem of actually building that trust, and that takes time. So I don't look to do that. And my social media tactics, which are zero for all practical purposes, I don't have a lot of trust and faith in social media for this type of work either. But I'm looking for ideas and feedback on that. And at the end of the day, so this is my full disclosure. How badly do I really want this? It's really about working it, and I get it. You know, I get it, guys. I may procrastinate, but there's a reason for that. So, you know, the issue is how much work am I willing to get this done? And I'm willing to, I guess my other objective is to make this not painful and make it tolerable. So that's what I'm looking for. And this last one is kind of a rhetorical question. How come Klatches don't fall in my lap? I don't get it. It's the old problem, though, right? The tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it to make a noise. And I think that's the syndrome that we've got. Okay, so that was kind of the share screen. And
so, you know, I just wanted to react, even though we've known each other a while, until I saw this slide about your preferred clients and what industries they're in, I had no idea. So to me, of what you presented, that's the most valuable thing, because I'm now more prepared to be able to make referrals than I was before.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. All right. Stops the share. All right, we're back to our live phase. Yeah, well, that's one of the challenges, and you know what? I'm trying to build my emphasis, or put my emphasis more, you know, on green technology and circular economy. I've got a couple clients and experiences in that area, but you know, at the end of the day, and I think I shared this with everybody too, I'm not interested in working with tech companies that are building new shopping carts and ways to sell crap to people. I'm just burned out on that. And while I am open to working with tech companies, the super duper high tech guys, first off, they wouldn't hire me anyway, but I'm not trying to cultivate those folks. I don't want to, you know, get involved with a company where I have to go back and spend a lot of time trying to figure out what the hell the technology is just to even talk with them. You can call it laziness, I call it maturity.
Just making a choice. I mean, you're just saying what you want, what's true for you. That's really all it is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No right or wrong to it. It's just, you like chocolate or you like vanilla.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. So anyway, that's good to know, Masa, that you know, I haven't been as clear on that, because you know, my business is such that in theory, you know, anybody can use the tools and techniques that I provide, but it's that problem, though, is being known within your niche. You know, and I think at the end of the day, for stuff that I do, and I think for a lot of people on this call do, less is more. Again, just finding an industry that you really become known in, and so that's the other question. How does one go about do that? These days. A lot of the networking stuff that I belong to, and I've met most of you through networking. The problem is we're networking with each other, and that's okay up to an extent, but you're not really getting into the decision makers. And I know Palo, you network on a ton of places, but I don't know how effective you find stuff like the old Tri-Valley Consulting Network and that type of stuff. You meet really cool people, but it's really hard to leverage it beyond that.
These are consultants, and they didn't understand how to network, so that's why I didn't stay very long. But so I just met the executive vice president of California Bank of Commerce, a $14 billion bank. They want a direct marketing campaign where they go out for companies that are $500 million, certain industry, bang, bang, bang. They want this, they want that kind of thing. So really, as you were talking, I'm thinking, how many of those people do you know that you can ask? Because banks, they know a whole bunch of businesses that you want to know.
Yeah.
So how many bankers do you know? I know a ton of bankers. Do you know bankers? I mean, so that's about a relationship, right?
Right.
I'm wondering if you're actually getting in front of the right relationships. So I've said this before. So I have Palo's parking lot happy hour, which is going to be today, which is going to be interesting at 108 degrees. We'll probably hold it inside my firm, my press room, because it's just too damn hot out there.
Yeah.
But that executive vice president is coming. There's a senior executive director for a nonprofit that is coming. There are several business owners of larger businesses that are coming. So I just have beer and wine and water, and I limit it to 8 people, socially distanced out in our parking lot under 90-foot trees. And I just invite them. And I'm one of the people that's coming is the mayor of the city of Concord, the largest city in Contra Costa of the 19 cities. So those 8 people plus myself, we're just sitting around, we're just talking, developing relationships.
Right.
And so to your question is, yeah, it works. And you know what? I pick up the phone. Perfect example. Caitlin Sly. Caitlin Sly is the executive director of Meals on Wheels, Diablo region. So if you're in the senior world, Meals on Wheels is a huge deal, no matter how much money you have, because they deliver food if you're a shut-in and you can't get out.
Yep.
And they provide, people, seniors volunteer, they come in, they talk to you, so they get the social contact as well. And so when she was just appointed or just came on board a year and a half ago, the first thing I did was write a personal handwritten note to her. Congratulations, welcome aboard. This is who I am. I work with nonprofits. Introducing myself. If you need anything, please let me know. That was it. Then I just simply picked up the phone and invited her to a happy hour. Guess what? She now meets people. So personal direct mail piece didn't cost me a fortune. What it was, $1, including the 55-cent stamp. And then I picked up the phone and called. So was it a cold call? Yeah. But I also did the mail piece. Yeah. But now she knows who I am. We see each other at events. And now we're talking about doing their marketing. So
okay.
I'm saying, I'm not saying I'm special or anything like that, but my feeling is you're creating a whole bunch of stuff it's paralyzing, and as opposed to just what I did was simple 1-2 step, direct mail piece, call, invite, done.
Right. Well, of course you identified her too. So
yeah, I mean, that's what you're doing with your 100 client list.
Exactly.
I got that.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be all complicated, in my opinion.
No, you're right. I don't dispute that. That's what I said.
Me personally, and I know about, and you and I have known each other a long time, Kevin, probably half a decade or more.
Yeah.
What I would say, Kevin, when I see this piece, and it's good that Moss saw it, but I know your business and what you're doing and pretty well. What I would say is you don't have to go work. you are comfortable where you're at so you can sit on the procrastination table.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably part of it. Like if you didn't know where your next mortgage payment was coming, I'm betting you would be acting a little different. That's kind of what I wonder. So now the things you're showing us are coming from a very comfortable place. I don't want this. I don't want this. I want it to be exactly like I want it to be. And you know what? Life just isn't like that. And why don't they fall in my lap? I mean, I work my ass off networking, putting people together, relationship building, and oftentimes it still doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I sit on it. So another example, I sit on a board. I called up one of the board members and said, hey, I see you sit on the board of Marin Legal Aid. They're going to be doing a fundraising deal here in a few months. Do they need help? And he goes, yeah. I called somebody I knew.
Right.
A warm call. So I'm leveraging my relationships. And I know you know a lot of board people. You sit on a board. I know those people know people. Have you leveraged those people? Now I understand I'm a grassroots kind of guy, action oriented. The rest of you kind of, I mean, you know, I know they put together programs for companies and all that. I'm an executor of those things. So I'm an action-oriented guy. I'm not coming up with all of this stuff. I'm like looking at all that and go, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. And where do I have to go? And I'm going to go do it. So that's definitely different for you than for me. And so I think that's maybe a little bit what paralyzes you.
Yeah, well, let's talk about affiliations. What's the best communication strategy on affiliation, or whether it's to find a referral or actually a warm call? Yes, you're a Jim Horn guy. Pick up the damn phone. I get it. Picking up the damn phone.
I wrote a card to this executive director. She didn't know me from Adam. And
So what was the affiliation?
Say again?
What was the affiliation?
She's an executive director of a nonprofit, a major nonprofit in the area. So I just picked up the phone.
Okay.
I mean, I wrote her a note first.
Okay. Are any of you guys using LinkedIn to start the conversation with prospects? I'm curious how that works with you guys. Palo, we know, goes right to the heart, and good for you. That's great.
Often doesn't work. I mean, I just saw something that said 93% of CEOs will not take calls off of LinkedIn, Facebook. They do it with people that they know.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I mean, I think what I have seen, and I've done it for others, is introductions via LinkedIn. That can work. It's not a phone call, but it's using the LinkedIn machine.
You could use a Zoom call. I mean, I'm doing it right now for a couple of people. They want to meet a couple of people. I said, oh, let's do a Zoom call. Everybody has time for a 15 or 20-minute Zoom call as opposed to lunch, drinks, all that stuff.
Zoom has definitely changed the game, but I think the challenge still comes down to, though, especially if you're trying to go after an executive, it's a cold call situation. And how many, to your point, Palo, it's the relationship. So again, if somebody doesn't know me from Adam, I just don't think picking up the phone with a person like that's going to work.
As Moss was saying, I've had a little bit of success with people being introduced on LinkedIn and then going to not a phone call but Zoom, and that person who introduced me was not on Zoom. But they made the introduction through LinkedIn, and I asked for it. It hasn't led to anything yet, but it's been better than what I was doing before, which is like, hi, you have no idea who I am. On LinkedIn, which is, I've been doing that for a long time, and it does it
work?
Not very well. Yeah. Whereas this other asking for introductions works much better.
Yeah.
At least to get that Zoom call.
LinkedIn is like the old days when and this is Steve's world more than my world, but 15 years ago, if you didn't have a website that I could go look at or somebody could go look at, you had no credibility. You weren't a business. You weren't a real business.
All right.
LinkedIn is like that now, whereas I can go look at your website, I can go look at your LinkedIn. Now I can find out a little bit about you, and that creates credibility. And
Right.
then you can ask for people like introductions, like you want an introduction to this bank guy, executive vice president, let me know.
Okay.
But I gotta know what is your, why, because this is one of the things I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna tell him, here is the value proposition of why you should take 20 minutes out of your valuable time to meet with the person that I'm introducing you to. And that, I need that, and that has to be clear as day, not, oh, you just need to meet this guy. I mean, that's a politician. You can get away with that with politicians. You
Right.
can get away with that with Warren Buffett. I mean, but not very many people you can do that to. Just, oh, you need to meet the center of influence because I said so. No.
But that's great, Palo. So in your mind, it almost sounds like what would be useful for you to do these introductions is something like I don't know what the right term is for it, but a value statement of what
Value
we're.
proposition. Yeah.
Okay.
Why should I meet them? Go look at their bank, their website, go look at what their products are, go look at their client list, and then pick out something like, I can go back to them and say, hey, you know, I'm looking at this client. How is their operation? What are they doing? Now I can create a conversation and I can find out what they're talking about, or this, because banks want to make sure that companies are running well because they don't want to lose money.
Yeah.
So if you could provide that value proposition, like this guy is in trouble, or they could make more money doing this, leverage what you've already loaned them. Now I've got a value proposition for them.
Okay.
It's
That's
just
great.
like,
You know, I think there's a nuance of difference between this, and I recognize, Palo, that what you offer is a service, but I think what people think of when they hear about your business is the product that you produce for them, the finished product. So coming out of product marketing, I think there's a difference between marketing products and marketing services. And what we are as consultants is more of a service, and it's a very custom tailored service. So I think that the approach has to somehow reflect that,
but
that difference.
you still have to provide, I mean, you still are solving a problem, right?
Yeah. Jobs to be done.
I mean, you're making production better, you're drawing something. I mean, you still have to provide them a value proposition. And this works with the service or a product. I mean, we put together marketing programs, which are service with a product component to it.
Yeah. Right.
But I was talking to this guy and I was thinking, I had Steve in mind. I said, tell me, look, you know, go look at his website, California Bank of Commerce. To me, it's a boring website, but when I talked to him, I said, so what about your website? Oh, we just had this new rebrand from Vintage Foster. Well, I know Vintage Foster. He used to run the Oakland Tribune, managing editor and partner. Then it got sold. Now it's the East Bay Times. Now he works for Armanino McKenna, which has a outsourced marketing from Armanino McKenna, which is an accounting firm. Like, I don't even know how that works, but anyway. And they just did their website. Well, if you look at their website, when I talk about Steve, I'll say, how are you measuring? There's 10 or 15 different things you can measure on this website. And if you have incremental increases, 1%, 2% on any of these 10 things, that makes a huge difference to the outcome. And they're like, well, how do I know? And I said, that's why you need to meet Steve Hurst.
Or Riley.
Or Riley, you know, whoever. They're here in the Bay Area, they typically want to meet, so that's a whole logistical thing for Riley, but, you know, yeah.
Well, I have a question, Palo. When am I meeting this guy?
What are you doing this afternoon at 3:30?
Get on the phone. Pick up the damn phone.
Pick up the damn phone. Call me. You and I haven't talked in a year.
I know it.
Yeah,
We need to do more than
I've been
talk.
missing you at Sana. I've been missing you too.
All right, we'll take care of that.
We tried to get together with the grandkids, but it didn't quite, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Sana has relationship with your kids and all that. I don't want to get into that, but you know.
So on the conversation with a person in my network, let's just say bankers. I know a couple bankers. So what is? I mean, I'm sure Palo say just flat out say, do you know anybody who needs help in building their top line? And is it as simple as that, or? All right.
Got to be a specific value proposition. Like Moss was just saying, it's got to be something specific other than just a generic, bland overall, yeah, they can make your top line better. What the hell does that even mean? Like the next question out of their mouth is going to be, how is he going to do that? And then I'm going to be sitting there looking stupid because I don't have a value proposition for exactly why. So I want to be able to go in there with something. That's why I'm giving you the website. Go look at California Bank of Commerce. It's a business only bank.
Right.
You can't even go in there and do deposits. It's not that kind of bank. So it's just, and it's $14 billion. So they must be doing something right.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like I'm making this way too simple, but I know that there's lots of moving parts in my head and just who I am and all that kind of good stuff. I got
Well, simplicity is good.
Well, I'm a stupid guy because I'm a simple man.
Well, you make things simple.
People don't understand when they get flummoxed. They get perspicacious when you get, you can't do those words. You can't do that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think I was talking with Riley about this too. The product or service we offer, I think it has to be one thing, because if you're doing too many things, you end up just confusing people. And even when asked, what do you do, that has to be really, really simple and maybe 10 words. And it's tough to do that. And it's very difficult just to get. And that's kind of what I was getting to on the subject lines. And what would the good subject lines be that get the attention that you're looking for? And again, you have to put it in context. It's one thing if I know somebody super well, how I'm going to communicating somebody I sort of know and somebody I don't know. I mean, those are different communication strategies. And then secondly, what outcome are you trying to create by making that contact? So is it building a good, strong referral, or is it actually prospecting? And again, I think those are two different strategies.
I think your idea that there has to be a singular kind of focus is true, but it doesn't always have to be the same singular focus. So depending on what arena you're making your way into, that focus can shift.
Okay.
So there's two things. One, when people ask me what I do, you know what I say? I say we work with companies and organizations by filling their sales pipelines with qualified prospects. And I stop. I've told you everything we've done, but you don't know how I do it or what I do. So that's simple. Yep. The other thing is from a business owner perspective who has employees, and from other business owners that I talk to that have employees, and other CEOs and senior executives who obviously have employees, you have to look at it from their point of view, not your point of view. Yeah. So what is it you're going to solve for them? So I'll just ask questions like, yeah, what is it? Hey, Steve, what is it that keeps you up at night? Is everything working smoothly?
Does that term work?
Yep. So I was actually I'm just working with somebody, a woman who owns all these recycling electronic places around here that, go to this high school or go to this church or go to this college or go to this business, turn in all your e-waste. That woman owns all of them and it all goes to her, and she's in Hayward, the largest woman-owned recycling company in the entire country. And I asked her, I said, so what is it that keeps you up at night? What is it that doesn't work about your business? Because she said, I want more marketing. And so I just asked her that question. She says, well, you know what? I've got 20 trucks, semi-trailer trucks a day. They go out of here, go to different places. So they take all the computers, strip it down to the cable wire, the cases, everything's all separated. They got warehouses full of this crap everywhere. They pull the SKU, they put it on a truck, they deliver the truck to wherever. And I said, what's the average truck worth? She said, well, the average truck, just the load is $800,000 to $900,000 per truck, 20 a day. And I said, that sounds cool. It's a big production. Like, what's the problem? She said, when it gets to the other end, it's usually less than that 800 or 900. So I know that there's some pilfering going on. And then I said to her, what processes do you have in place that ensure security and, you know, chain of custody? So military or law enforcement, what's your chain of custody? She looked at me like I was crazy. She had no idea what I was even talking about. And I said, do you have anybody inside your company that can train chain of custody and being responsible for all this stuff? She's like, no. And then I said, is that something that you want to, so you're to take care of? I said, because by my count, if you have $100,000 per truck, 20 trucks, that's a lot of ducats times a 20-day work month times 12. You don't need more marketing. You got a different kind of challenge. That's the way I talk to people like that. And then I said, you really might want to think, once I find out that that keeps them awake and they're willing to do something about it. If they're not willing to do something about it, I just stop. I'll go, okay, just keep on doing what you're doing. And, you know, if that losing that, you know, $20,000 a day times 20-day work month times 12 months is no big deal to you. Okay. But I'm telling you, I'm sharing with you, I'm happy to do your marketing, but that's not what you need.
Yeah.
So I just gave away business. You need a process, a person, a coach, somebody to come in here and put processes and controls that understands manufacturing process. Now, I know that's not you, but I'll bet you know somebody like that.
But what you're doing is securing the relationship as a trusted partner. And when she has something that's within your bailiwick, or even if she has a problem that's outside, she knows she can call on you.
I think at the end of the day, people want to do business with people that have the same belief systems. That's real. And you have to tell people what, either by deeds, actions, words, behavior, you have to tell them what that belief system is, which I just did. I shared with her that I'm not your guy, but I can connect you up with the person that you need.
All right. No, that's a good point, Palo.
And just to echo what Palo is saying about, sorry, I just had a like giant mind blank as I was talking. Let me think about that for a minute. I'll shut up. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
How old are you?
I'm the youngest person here. Yeah. So I have no explanation for that.
A pre-senior moment.
Yeah, yeah. It was about ask do you sleep at night? What keeps you up at night? I've actually had better success starting to get to know people who I don't know through LinkedIn by asking them what's wrong and questions like that, and just listening, then saying hello and trying some of the other, like, you know, one of the things I've tried in the past is like asking for recommendations on what they, you know, if I'm interested in what they do. Like, for example, I work with some therapists. So sometimes I'll ask a therapist in particular area to recommend a book on something. And sometimes that works and sometimes they don't care. But I've found asking, you know, how are things going when someone says not that great and you ask more details, sometimes that actually gets the relationship going in a way that like a different focus hasn't. And these are people I don't even know. So I suspect it works much, much better when you actually, you know, have a bit of a relationship with somebody.
Now, are you having that conversation though on LinkedIn, or are you picking up the phone? Because that sounds like a pick up the phone, or.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have these people's phone numbers.
Okay.
So usually.
Because, you know, I guess I'm a little skeptical about that, just because I can't imagine on LinkedIn, especially if somebody doesn't know you from Adam, that you can actually have that conversation. Because I think most people are going
That's
to respond.
generational.
It could be, yeah.
So Kevin, one of the things that I'm observing is, and I have this too, so I can observe it very easily, is the reluctance to jump in. But as a marketer, testing the waters is like what we do. So
Yeah.
maybe the thing is, when you say, does it work? You should just pick a handful of folks to try it with and see, does it work?
Yeah, just do it, stupid.
And then you'll learn whether it does. Yeah.
Well, that was kind of my ready, fire, aim. That's
Right.
kind of the idea of that, because it is easy to put in your own brain the outcomes that are just totally untrue.
One
I
of
mean,
the
what
things
I've noticed is that people have different modalities of response. So there are people who you can leave message after message after message with, and they never return a call.
Right.
And then some bizarre thing happens, and you send them an email, and they're right on it. Why? I can't. I
Yeah,
can't
timing,
explain.
timing is important.
Yeah.
I
But
get
not
that.
just timing. I think sometimes they are reluctant to be on a phone call, but they're more apt to respond to an email or respond to a text message or something else.
Yeah, there are modal, you're right, that's a modal thing.
So I think I was talking to this executive director. I went to a gala on Saturday night, and this executive director was saying, wow, I can't talk to these people. I can't talk to this person. I can't talk to these people. And I said, why? He said, because they're billionaires. And I said, and? And he said, well, I just can't. And I said, aren't you the executive director? And he said, yeah. And I said, in my opinion, and this is where I'm saying to you, Kevin, is you're the CEO and the president of your company. And what I said to him is, you have the right to call any executive director or CEO because you are theirs, they are your peer, and you have the right to call them. Like, you're not going to answer every CEO's or person that's calling you, just like they're not going to.
Right.
But I personally feel like I have the right to call anybody, but they also have the right not to pick up the phone either, right?
Exactly, of course.
So I think it's I think a lot of this is just motivation. I'm fearless in that way. After being a combat veteran, like, all this stuff is silly to me. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? I'm not going to get dead. I already passed that point. And last year again reminded me that I could die. So all this stuff, it's like, whatever, you have the right to call and talk to anybody. And
Yeah.
I think there's a certain way that you posture, you set yourself that I can talk to anybody. That's why, I'm 2019 Philanthropist of the Year award winner in California, raising millions of dollars because I was fearless to ask, pick up the phone, or just be in a body. Like, but it's at the right time. Cultivating, you have to understand cultivating. You have to understand where they are, what their motivations are. I mean, I don't just walk up to somebody like these guys in the corner. Do you want to go have sex? I mean, they're going to get a lot of no's and slapped in the face, but they're going to get a lot of sex too. So, I mean, I don't want to be that crass.
So I had a roommate and this is not a good example in university who was a pathological liar. He lied about everything. He once lied about our fridge space to someone because he thought he would get in her pants, which I've never heard before or since. I didn't know lying about your fridge space was a strategy. His strategy was, so he had a bad life and he had foster parents and stuff, and his strategy was to tell every single woman he met how bad his life was. And 95 out of the 100 would be like, fuck off. And the other 5 would sleep with him. And it worked for him. And it was terrible. It was terrible, but it worked. I don't know what the lesson there is exactly.
Numbers game.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
numbers
number
game.
game.
Yeah, that's the lesson. Yeah.
The
I
message
was,
is be happy with 5%.
yeah. Yeah, he actually, when I lived,
5% more clients. I mean, you said you'd be happy, Kevin. You only need 5 clients.
That's
yeah.
right, 100, 5%, I'm there.
When I lived with this guy, he had
You want to
somewhere
sleep with
between
me?
he had
Oh, no.
somewhere
I don't
between
think we'll go
4
that
and 6 girlfriends, all of whom were long distance relationships, so they couldn't know about each other. Anyway, what I was actually going to say is, a number of, I think you've all, Kevin, Palo, Moss, you've all said similar things relating to this. But one of the things that I heard you say something similar to, and I know I do, Kevin, is I'm about to reach out to somebody, and then I think about the ways I could do it better.
Yeah.
And then that ends up not, I don't do it. I'm like, I go find a way to design a better strategy or a tactic to reach out to them. And I do this less and less, but I still do it a lot. And it's a battle for me because, like you, I don't like reaching out to people, especially on the phone. God forbid using the telephone to do anything. But
Right.
that's somewhat generational for me, I think. But I do think that, like, instead of, there's that famous phrase, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right?
Right.
And you just got to, like, and I'm saying this as much to myself as to you, you just got to do it, whether it's crappy or not, and you'll discover actually that what you think is bad or ineffective, as sort of Moss was alluding to, might actually be effective some of the time.
Okay.
You might think it's going to be terrible, and I mean, I do this all the time where the things that I think are going to work don't work, and the things I think won't work. And I have to, like, you have to get out of this headspace that, like, I need to go back and fix my tactic. No, I don't. I just need to do it.
Yeah.
I was working with the bank. I was on the management track program, and they, for 2 weeks, they said, here's 100 phone calls, your goal, and every day for 2 weeks. So we're talking 10 working days. They gave me a new list of 100 people to call. 15 of us were on the fast track program. And so I'd call 100, call 100, call 100, no appointments. And so finally, the trainer came over and said, do you understand what the point of calling 100 people is? I said, well, you said to call 100 people. The point of calling 100 people is to make appointments. Oh, that's a whole, I mean, they had to break it down. 1 + 1 is 2. And I'm an educated guy. So it's not like, I mean, but it was lost on me. Once they told me that, now it's a different motivation for me to call. So 2 weeks of 100 phone calls a day, and they were monitoring them, and it was quantifiable, and you had 8 hours to do it. That's why I'm not concerned about phone calls any particular more. I had a great training program. And then at the end of those 2 weeks, they said, we're going to send all of you to a 3-day telephone training program. And I said, seriously? We grew up with telephones. We know how to use them. Now, there's a very specific way in which you do or don't answer the phone. And Steve Hers and I know this guy named Ken Madsen. And Ken Madsen, whenever he picks up the phone and he said, and it's not for him, and it's for somebody else, he says, and I learned this, and that's why I recognize it right away. He said, may I place you on hold? So now the presumption is the power and control are in your hands, not mine. And I'm not just going, wait a minute. So it's very formal, it's officious, but it keeps the person on the other end feeling like they're in control and they actually had a choice when they actually didn't have a choice. I mean, if they said no, okay, hang up. I mean, come on. It's like going to a buffet. The illusion of choice, not really, you just have the choices of what's there, but the illusion that you have control and choice. That's why picking up the phone, it's quick, it's easy, it gets things done. Does it always work? No.
Wait, I want to hear, when you place someone, get their permission to place them on hold, what does that buy you?
They feel like they're in control.
Who's
They feel like it's all about them. So when I pick up the phone, I answer exactly like this. Good morning, Daily Digital Imaging, may I help you? So now they know psychologically it's all about them and they're the most important thing right now. Hi, may I speak to Mary Walker, please? May I place you on hold so I can go get her, please? Then I wait for them to say yes. And then they always say yes. And then I place them on hold. The illusion is they're in control. They're in the power position. It's all about them. That's the point of these kinds of little things. And then when I hang up the phone, I wait until I hear the hard, cold click of their phone or disconnect on the phone before I hang up. Those are just little psychological things that I learned as a 27-year-old trainee at a Wells Fargo telephone call.
I gotta go, guys.
Yeah.
Nice seeing all you.
Good to see you, Riley.
Take it easy.
Bye, Riley.
Bye, Riley.
So, I mean, I don't know what that was all worth, but you know, I'm a get it done, get it now, don't procrastinate, because you know, some sergeant kept giving me the terrible projects in the Army. And I finally looked at him, I said, why do I always get the shitty ass projects? And he said, because you're the laziest, smartest guy, and you'll figure out the quickest, fastest way to get it done. I went, and so that has been throughout my whole life. I want to get it done as quickly as possible because I know I need to do it so I can go have fun. So this whole coming up with all these things, yes, it's important. You need to have a value proposition. But at the end of the day, like my father said, shit or get off the pot, fish or cut bait.
World War II, same.
Yeah.
So Steve, I'm curious, because we haven't heard much from you. What works for you in terms of prospecting?
Well, what works for me is something very simple. And that is, I need to find people who are in the market to solve a problem or invest it online. If they're not, it's a total waste of time, 100% total waste of time.
You've been saying that for
And
years.
in our business, which is web design and development, no one buys spontaneously. No one. They buy on their business strategies. They buy on problems that come up. That's the only reason they buy. The analogy for me has been, it's kind of like buying a car. If you just bought a car last week, the last thing you want to do is get an email or see an ad about a new car.
Yep.
The furthest thing from your mind. However, if your car is 5 years old and you're starting to go to the shop every day and you see all the new technology, you may have decided in your budget that you're going to get a new car this year. That's the person I need to talk to. That's the only person that's worth my time. So a lot of my effort is trying to find people that are at that level. And that's very hard. I don't mean to make it sound easy. It's extremely hard. So all my marketing efforts are around, how do I find people who are already searching? How do I find people who are bending Paylo's ear because their website doesn't work, or they're upset with their agency? Those are the only people that I want to talk to.
And once you know, how do you approach them?
Pardon?
Once you know you've identified that individual, how do you approach them?
I approach them with email, LinkedIn connection requests, and questions, telephone calls, finding people who may know them to give me an introduction. And that's probably about the extent that I can go. I've tried all kinds of marketing programs, and by definition, it's really easy math. Any type of overall campaign immediately in my mind has an 80% waste factor. So if I have 100 people like Kevin was talking about, 80 of them by definition do not want to talk to me.
Right. But the
because
challenge,
they're not in the market. Now,
Yeah, that's the challenge.
20% are. Of that 20%, probably 50% already have an agency they know that they like. So now I got 10% of that list that I can really go after.
Right.
The only way to make it make sense for me is to try my best to figure out who is that 10% and then go after them as much as I can. But even that's not that successful. And everything I do is very personalized. So
Yeah.
I'd send an email saying, Daily Digital can improve their user experience and increase conversions. But it's always personal. It's Daily Digital. I talk to them about what they can achieve or what they can solve. Because if it's not solving a problem or if it's not filling something on their strategy, I don't care how good that subject line is. It's meaningless.
yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I guess what I struggle with though on that scenario is, how do you know that prospect is in the heat of the moment?
Well, I work with some companies that claim anyway. I'm not sure that I've seen as much proof as I want that they track the different search behavior and find people and show them to me. And I got to jump off on a call.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk to you.
So I
Before
apologize,
you leave,
guys. I'll
tell
talk
him
to you
how
later.
much, tell him what your floor is for, so he has a range of your costs, so he understands where you sit.
Yeah, I gotta jump on this call. I really do. Sorry.
Okay, guys.
So
All right, well,
I'll
this has
answer
been,
that question. He doesn't do websites for less than $50,000. That's
yeah,
the floor.
he's a mid-market, I understand.
So it goes up from there. And
Right.
I've known Steve for 20 years and worked with them and all this kinds of things together and marketing and all that kind of stuff. Collaborative, 4 companies brought him in, he's brought me in. And